Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. What a time to be alive. Things are fairly crazy right now, let's be real. So, I want to talk about everything that's going on with Magic the Gathering and give my thoughts as to how this is all most likely going to shake out, alright? So, to make sure we're all up to speed, obviously, you don't need to be told what is the catalyst for what's going on right now. This is affecting everything in modern living. It is unavoidable. So, what's happened as a result of the worldwide situation is a couple of things. One is Wizards of the Coast has gone ahead and canceled all WPN events for the foreseeable future up until May 10th, okay? So, what does that mean? If you don't know what WPN is, that's Wizards Play Network. So that is all of the local game stores. Basically, every organized Magic event has been canceled. Now, when you add on to that the compounding factor that at the same time, depending on where you are in the world, this may have already happened to you, but starting actually just today. Today is the last day that Magic stores in this province that I live in Canada, we don't have states, we have provinces, same difference, okay? So if you're in America, think of it as your state, okay? So every LGS in the province is being forced to shutter. They're going to be forced to close at the end of the day. That's it. Like the foreseeable future for that is, they're saying it's 2 weeks, but to be real, I don't think that anybody knows exactly how long this is really going to go. So we have a scenario where you can't run any official tournaments for the next 6 weeks roughly, and shops are going to be shut down for at least 2 weeks. Now this is leading up to the Ikoria pre-release. All these sort of factors are going to have a major impact on Magic the Gathering. Now before I dive further into that impact, I do just want to make sure you understand this isn't like the end of Magic the Gathering, okay? There are people, I do a number of live streams, some people will come in and say, yo, is this the end? Like, is everything just going to kind of fall apart? And I understand the logic that there's some people who think like, okay, there's some people who think Wizards are going to seize on this opportunity to try and shove people into Arena. Now, will more people end up playing Arena or Magic, like MTGO from this? Yes, there will be more people using digital platforms to play Magic. But it's not like a one-to-one ratio. It's not like everybody who stops playing paper Magic for this period of time is going to go to digital. There's a number of reasons that people have no interest in digital. In some cases, people just want to own the physical cards. If you've been playing for a long time, you want to play with your physical cards. Maybe you go, Arena's not my thing. There are a number of factors that will keep people from trying it out, where they'll just be like, you know what, I'll go get into another hobby. I'll reignite other kinds of like passions that I have. So we have a scenario where you can't go and play in any paper Magic. How much is it going to affect digital? There will be a push upwards, but I personally believe, now there's no way to prove this sort of, it's a theory at this point, right? Just, it's not a scientific theory. You know, those are a little more concrete than my half thought out theories. But anyways, basically, I believe that for digital Magic to survive, paper Magic has to survive. Paper Magic has a high level of prestige in terms of, I don't mean in life, like you're like, ladies, check out my rectangles. Let's go back to my house and see how many I can put all over your body with no clothes on. That's not going to get you very far in life. So I don't mean prestige in that regard. But when you compare Magic to other card games, it clearly is just dominant. It's the most adult. That is kind of funny to say when you think about the fact that Magic has been just kind of like watered down for kids more and more. If you go back enough in Magic's history, it's a little eye-opening where you go, wow, this stuff was clearly made for adults back in the day. But I just mean like when you take, let's say, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, which are the 3 biggest card games that are out there, Magic is the most adultish, right? You think of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, you're going to think those are more for kids. That's generally the way people are going to look at it. But the prestige value is not just tied into being like the big market share leader that has the most adult persona. It also ties into all of the cash values, right? That adds a certain level of prestige to Magic when it's basically like, you can open these packs and crack money and you can play this game and afterwards what you played it with will be worth money. It doesn't work the same way with like baseball. You go and play baseball and you got an old baseball bat and an old like catcher's mitt. They're not going to go up in value. They're just beat up. You're going to have to sell them on like a yard sale website for like $5 for... you can hit your kids with it. It's, you know, their heads are like baseballs. Who cares? You're not going to get very far with that. But Magic cards, you can keep and play with, and they can appreciate in value. So there's a lot of that allure that I genuinely believe is required to prop the game up. And if you just take Magic and put it on purely a digital spectrum, yes, Magic is fun to play, but it has to compete with a ton of amazing games. And Magic is tied to the baggage of paper in some ways, in that they don't make things for MTGO and Arena that they can't really make in paper. With like, I mean, a few exceptions, random things like Gleemox or whatever. You know what I mean? They don't make anything digital like to make the game really feel separate. Arena has its own special digital cards, but they're all cards that could be printed in regular Magic, basically. They're just like vanilla donks for beginner decks and stuff. So it's a scenario where for digital to thrive, you need paper. That's how I believe, that's what I believe, but I'm willing to admit that that may not actually be the concrete reality of it. And you could theoretically yank paper Magic out from underneath and it wouldn't all fall like a house of cards. I don't think that's the case, but I definitely could be wrong about that. So for me, paper Magic is intrinsic to Magic's survival. Now, the good news is, while we are facing a downturn, I don't see the situation we're in being so dire that it leads to the collapse of physical Magic in terms of people playing it. But I do see, in my opinion, that there is going to be a financial collapse. It seems virtually unavoidable given all the circumstances that were coming together. This is a pot that was like boiling right at the top already and was already waiting to just kind of seep over the edges. Like the investor class of Magic the Gathering who come in and essentially try and do their middlemaning where they go, I'm going to buy all this stuff hoping to make the end experience more expensive for another person who has to pay me the increased price for these objects. That can work when there's a higher level of demand, right? As long as the demand is there, you can go, I'm going to try and collect up 100 copies of this card that I know is going to spike and then sell them off. But that requires, like, you have to have end users who are going to use these, right? You have to have somebody who's going to buy them off you at the end for the price that you're looking for. So we have a scenario where people can't go out and play Magic for the next 6 weeks. You can't go and find a WPN event. Yes, you could theoretically go to somebody's house and play Magic. You can play through Skype or something like that. But the traditional, like, weekly ritual of going down to the LGS has now been interrupted. In fact, in some cases, you may not even be able to go to your LGS at all, which is, again, like I said, the case for me today. I went down there to check in on him and see, like, just kind of chat and get a vibe for what's going on. Now, the good news is, for the LGS in my area, is he feels he can weather a storm for a number of months if things continued this way, and he had to just leave the place closed and just pay the rent and everything on the shop. So it's not a scenario where this LGS is going to close, but at the same time, like I asked him, because I wanted to get some insight from an actual LGS, how he's going to weather this. Because this is, to give you an idea, this is an LGS that existed solely in the physical realm. He didn't do anything online, and now he's scrambling to set up a website to do some digital sales, but he's more looking to push his Warhammer and board game stuff as compared to singles, because the singles market is incredibly competitive. There are a ton of online vendors, both very large, you know, your Star Cities, your face-to-faces, and then small independent sellers on TCG Player. So there's an insane amount of competition for single sales. There's tons of people out there who want to sell you singles. So as an LGS, he's actually focusing more on non-Magic sales to kind of help keep things going. And that also informs the mindset that I have about how things are going to break down. You're going to have a number of LGSs that are doing whatever they can to just keep at least a little trickle of money coming in, because their expenses will keep mounting, and regardless of what the governments are doing out there, it's not going to be enough to fix the situation. So with players not being able to go out to events on a regular basis anymore, they're going to essentially have broken the habit of doing this. We are creatures of habit. Apparently, I believe the science says it takes about 3 weeks to establish a habit or break a habit, establish new habits, however you want to view it. Basically, after 3 weeks of not going out to an LGS, I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced this. Well, I shouldn't say all of us, because maybe some people are newer and haven't been through the cycle. But if you're one of the Magic players like me, who have been through cycles of this over and over, where you've left Magic and come back, because I have left Magic a number of times and come back, you will know that, like, you just skip going to your LGS for a weekend, and then next weekend you're like, no, you know what, I'm going to go do this instead. And after a couple of weekends of not doing that, you don't even think about the LGS anymore. You're not really thinking about going and playing Magic. It basically almost falls out of your brain. That's going to be happening to a whole bunch of people. Right now, you don't need to panic too much, because like I said, I don't think this is going to lead to the end. The biggest proponent of Magic players, the biggest contingent, I should say, of Magic players are casual tabletop Magic players, right? So those people aren't really going to go away. We're going to lose, like, people who are big, like Modern or Standard players. Those sort of environments are going to take a hit. And those type of environments are also what drives a lot of single prices. Yes, EDH and tabletop Magic certainly do have their influences. You can see it in older, random, wonky cards that would suck in Standard, suck in Modern, suck in any regular competitive format, but shine brightly like a diamond in EDH Commander, right? Those cards have gone up over time, and that kind of an effect will continue. But there is going to be a bunch of people now who are no longer able to go to Standard events. They're no longer able to go to Modern events, and they're going to look at all the money's worth of cards that they have, and they're going to go, I have to get rid of this. I remember when the stores in this city, just Modern wasn't a format that was being offered anymore. And you had all these Modern players going around shopping off their singles, right? And this was under much better auspices than the time we're in right now. Things were better. Things were normal. It was just, hey, there's no shop in town running Modern. What am I going to do with these Modern cards? I want to sell them. Well, the same thing's going to happen now, except the amount of people that it's affecting are larger, right? This is everybody who's playing Standard and everybody who's playing Modern everywhere. If it's not tabletop or whatever, and you were people who went to events, they're all canceled. You can't go. You're not going to be able to be a part of it. And so you combine the fact that people aren't going to be able to go out and play with the fact that people aren't going to be able to go out and work. What's this going to lead to? Them not having enough finances. They're going to eye their Magic cards and go, there's too much value in these cards. I need to get rid of them. More and more people are going to turn around and sell their cards. And what does that do? That increases the supply. And the increase in supply will exceed the demand for this supply. So what will happen is prices will start to tumble. And then other people will look at the tumbling prices and they will, in some cases, panic sell, or not panic sell, but sell out of necessity. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not like, I hear the terms like stay the course being tossed around, and that's all well and good if you're a millionaire. If you're somebody who's loaded down with cash and you can just take your cards and throw them in a box and ignore them for years, good on you. Well, here's my applause for you having your life in order or having the resources, but that's not the reality for the majority of us. And I think that it would be irresponsible for me to say, you know what, hang on to your cards, because at some point better times will be coming and you'll be able to extract more money for them. Take care of yourself and your family first. And if you have to sell your cards at what feel like a bigger loss, just understand that's market dynamics, and having that money gives you more agility to exist in your current time. It's not worth it to hang on to Magic cards if they're going to impact your ability to take care of what matters. Like, honestly, remember how I start my videos. Find luxury cardboard rectangles. Never forget Magic the Gathering is an extreme luxury. Some of these cards individually cost as much as an entire board game, right? Some Magic cards, I mean, some Magic cards are insanely priced, where they're worth thousands and thousands of dollars. But I mean, regular level Magic cards you crack out of a booster pack can be worth a week's groceries. Honestly, Magic prices are an absurdity. So we're going to be looking at a crash. I mean, we've already seen that things from the reserved list already took a bit of a tumble. Now, we may see that inch up a little bit as people are like, I'm going to move into reserve lists as a safe haven. All this like investor stuff that goes on with Magic, it gives me a headache. The fact that people consider it a commodity, everything, it's crazy to me. At the end of the day, you have to have somebody who's willing to buy this stuff from you, or it's not worth what you say it is. So we're going to see a market crash. How deep it's going to go is anybody's guess, but it's going to happen, and it's probably going to be sustained, right? It's not like when the stores open back up, all of a sudden people are going to be rushing out to spend money, right? We're going to have people who just went through a period of lack. We're in the lean times, right? So people are going to have less money to spend in the first place, and what's happened is going to be fresh in everyone's mind, which is going to make them more hesitant. We're going to see a more cautious society for at least a certain amount of time, and that will impact sales. People will be more likely to sell off the stuff they have than to buy new stuff. Now, on the other hand, this is an opportunity for people who have enough resources kicking around to snag up the things they want at more reasonable prices, so silver lining for them. But overall, a market crash is coming, and trying to figure out the timing of it and whatever, you shouldn't worry about any of that. Just get rid of what you need to get rid of if you need to. If you feel like you can leave it to the side, that's fine. Don't worry that paper Magic is going to be destroyed because of this. I genuinely don't think that. I think paper Magic is strong enough to weather this storm, but it's just, there's so much going on in the world right now, and there's so much uncertainty that I wanted to come out and talk about this. It feels like the right time. At the end of the day, prioritize people over cardboard, right? Just make sure you're taking care of yourself and the people that you love, because you never know what's going to happen. There's some hard stuff going on for me right now in my personal life with people I really care about. So I feel genuinely like, I feel like I'm getting emotional right now. So instead of weeping on camera, let's do this. I'm going to say thanks for coming out. Big shout out to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for supporting what I do. I will see all of you tomorrow. I'm going to try and pick something lighter for tomorrow because this stuff is too heavy for me. I'm starting to feel emotional. Goodbye, my friends. I shall see all of you either tonight in the live stream or tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Goodbye. Take care of yourself and other people.